It's time for Pod of the Dead. Join us!
And action.
Hello and welcome to Pod of the Dead. I'm your host Nicholas, and with me as always are the two final girls, Stephanie and Natasha.
Hello. Hi.
On today's episode, we are covering the 1998 John Carpenter feature, Vampires. Before we get into all that, Tasha, would you like to tell us what Vampires is?
Vampires? Ever since his parents were murdered by vampires, Jack Crow, played by James Wood, has one purpose in life: putting stakes through bloodsuckers' hearts. With his battle-hardened crew of vampire killers and assistance of the Catholic Church, Crow roams the New Mexico desert looking for the undead lairs to annihilate. Directed by John Carpenter, and it also has Thomas Ian Griffith who plays the main baddie.
So that is not the overview that I have in front of me.
This is scary.
What I've got is Jack Crow is stripped of his immortality as an infant and must become a true hero in order to reclaim it.
What?
That's what I've
Hercules?
got. It is Hercules. James Woods.
All I know.
Oh, yeah.
James Woods played Hades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that wasn't vampire. Well, maybe this one's vampires then. Jack Crow is summoned to a mysterious island to compete in a tournament whose outcome will decide the fate of the world.
What?
No.
Is that not the movie we watched?
No.
The fate of the world.
On an island?
Oh, hold on. Sorry. That's Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa. He played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat. He was also in this film.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. All right.
Mortal Kombat. That was what we were missing. Okay.
Maybe it's this one. Jack Crow struggles to balance being a father and being involved in an outlaw motorcycle club.
Oh my gosh. Is this the Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man?
No?
No? On the motorcycle.
No, I think this is Vampires. Isn't it? Oh, sorry. No. This is Sons of Anarchy, Mark Boone Jr.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I don't know why these are so like, I don't know where you're finding yours, Tasha, because mine are not that.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Bobby from Sons of Anarchy was in this.
Bobby Elvis.
Yeah, literally.
So, what do you girls have any history with this film before we got into homework?
Nope. I think I know the cover just from you having it, Nick, but I have no history.
So this was during my obsession of vampires when I was a teenager, or young teenager actually, and I came across this movie on VHS in the 90s, and I watched it a lot. It was just one of those movies that came out that I enjoyed when I was a kid. So that's why I was like, let's try to cover this, because I haven't seen it in a while. Actually, it's not been that long, but yeah. So it's a vampire movie, and I love vampires, so it worked.
Yeah, I have no idea how I came upon this, because it's one of those movies, I don't know if Grandma Headley, or because Mom's a vampire fan and stuff like that. This was just a VHS we had at home. I don't remember it I don't remember Mom watching it. I don't remember Grandma watching it. It was just there. Mm-hmm. So obviously I'm like, oh shit, a horror film. I'm gonna watch this. And I still have my copy of it from being a kid. And my copy now. And 98, like when I was going back to look at what horror films were coming out in 1998, I'm 90% sure I've seen every horror film that came out that year.
Probably.
So 98 for horror, you've got Blade, Bride of Chucky.
Oh yeah.
The Faculty.
Oh, definitely.
I Still Know What You Did Last Summer.
Jesus. Okay.
Urban Legend.
Oh
yeah.
Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
Phantoms.
Yep.
The Psycho remake.
I don't think I saw that one.
And Ringu, the Japanese film
the
that,
Japanese
that
version,
made
yeah.
The Ring. So I was just like going through, I was like, holy fucking
That's
shit. Now, it's not,
crazy.
in my book, it's not that it's like one of the greatest years of horror or anything like that, but like for growing up, it's like this must be one of those years that like post Scream, you know, like
Yeah.
Scream comes out like 96, I think it is.
Yeah.
And like that like reinvigorated everything. It's just like now they're just pumping out fucking horror films left and right. So
Yeah, I saw all but the last two, and I remember seeing them when they came out because I loved The Faculty when it came out, like as a teenager. And Halloween H2O had Josh Hartnett in it, so I was like, he was like a super hot heartthrob back in the day. So that was in, and he's gonna have a horror movie come out this year. So yeah, it was That's a good year.
I know I saw a lot of these weirdly at the camper, like over the summer and stuff, because we would go to like, it was like West Coast Video or something like that. And mom and dad would go out on the pontoon boat or whatever and do everything. And then they would just drive us there and we just rent videos. And I would just rent whatever was the horror film of the day, you know?
So was your camper movie thing also just like what Tasha's was in the house, like the little 13-inch screen with like the little built-in VHS player?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
Okay.
it was just a small thing.
Little tiny thing.
and like, and not to go too far off, I remember like very vividly. So when Titanic came out, obviously not a horror film, but when Titanic came out, all the people in the like campground gathered around like a small like, I don't know, 18-inch TV outside of somebody's camper. They all brought lawn chairs and they watched the VHS copy like as a like it was nighttime and everybody like fucking weird.
I don't remember that.
That's 2 VHSs too.
Yeah, that's 2 VHSs long. Too many in my book.
That movie's great. Stop it.
In case you haven't seen Titanic, I'm going to ruin it for you. The boat sinks. But yeah, so this is our second John Carpenter film that we've covered. We did The Thing back, I think it was the first film for this year, and he's directed over 20 films. So this was his last quote unquote successful film. So keep that in mind when we talk about budget and everything. But to give you a little overview of, you know, who John Carpenter is, and not to give a history of John Carpenter, but to give you some of his films, he's responsible for Halloween. So 1978, he puts out Halloween. And then he has an absolute insane run of films. I'm not going to go year by year, but let's say The Fog comes out in 1980. Escape from New York comes out in 1981. The Thing comes out in 1982. Christine comes out in 1983. Wow. So like insane run of films. And then They Live that has Rowdy Roddy Piper in it comes out in 98. In the Mouth of Madness that has Sam Neill that you may know as was it something Grant from Jurassic Park, the main guy in yeah. So fucking crazy. And this was his last, Vampires was his last like successful film. After this, it kind of went away. This was also the film that brought him back into wanting to make movies, because the film that he made before this was Escape from LA, and he was going to retire from making films because he found it to no longer be fun. And this, the script and everything came to him, and he was like, you know what? I think I can make this work. This seems like it could be something cool, you know, and they ended up making it. But 1998, what do you think the budget for this film was?
This like borderlines for me like of like good movie and B movie, so it's hard for me to be like deciding on what. I'm gonna go with 5 million.
5 million. Okay.
I'll go with 3 million.
Okay. This movie was made for $20 million.
What?
Holy shit balls. Okay.
Which is only a third of what its original budget was. So when this movie was originally greenlit to be made, it had a different director, different people involved, and then the budget for it was $60 million.
Oh, okay.
And then it kind of got like in this weird development hell kind of thing, because I want to say that the rights for the from the book called Vampires with a $sign.
Oh my God.
Was bought like in like 92 or something like that. And this comes out in 98. So like they were just like, all right, well, what if we cut this? What if we cut that? And I think it was actually like really close to like after John Carpenter had already jumped on board that they're just like, okay, but can you do it for like a third of the money that we told you can do it for? And he's like, I think we can do this. Like, fuck it, whatever.
Okay.
Wow.
So for its $20 million budget, I'm only going to give you the domestic box office because of reasons. But what do you think it ended up making?
Domestically.
Just domestically.
60.
60 million?
Yeah.
20 million.
20.3 million.
Oh my
So
gosh.
just broke
literally
even.
over.
Broke even. Now, like when I was saying earlier, you know, like it was his last successful film, you know, it wasn't successful domestically in theaters. It ended up making like $40 million in like movie rentals and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So it definitely like that is the John Carpenter like way, and it's not that he wants it that way. It's when his film like The Thing was considered a box office flop and stuff like that. When his movies for the most part come out into theaters, they don't make the big explosions, and it's not until like they go to people's homes and stuff that the right audience finds it and they're just like, this fucking movie rules, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So it's sad because like there's been so many interviews with him that people will be like, oh, I loved it when I saw it on VHS. It's like, oh, that doesn't fucking help me now. Like it would have been a lot more helpful if these people went to the theaters, because then it shows that people like it and yada yada yada, and then he would have gotten bigger, better jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's also another big name involved with this that's behind the scenes. So before we start getting into like James Woods and all that stuff, you know, a very, 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 very important person in the horror scope did the special effects in this film, and he goes by the name of Greg Nicotero.
Okay.
You may not know that name, but you know his work so very well. Again, I'm going to go through some movies. His first movie that he worked on was Day of the Dead back in 1985. From there on, he worked under Tom Savini. So Tom Savini is like the godfather of like special effects horror stuff. Okay. He did special effects for Evil Dead 2 in 1987. He did special effects for Bride of Reanimator in 1990. From Dusk Till Dawn in 1996. Scream in 1996. Phantoms in 1998. Faculty in 1998. The Haunting in 1999. House on Haunted Hill in 1999. 13 Ghosts in 2001. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 in 2003 and 2004. Hostel in 2005. And he was the showrunner and directed and did all the special, not all, but like his company did all the special effects for 177 episodes of The Walking Dead.
Wow.
Oh shit. Okay.
He is Mr. Horror Special Effects.
His credentials are fucking a mile long. So
and
that's awesome.
that was just cutting out. He has over 200 special effects makeup credits on his IMDb page. So it's fucking insane.
That's crazy.
We could do a podcast just doing his movies. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So, but I really wanted to get that. I really wanted to get that out there because that alone. Last episode we gave you some options to check out and whatnot. You want some options? Just look up Greg Nicotero and just. There you go. You got
watch
fucking
his
movies for years. But don't forget to listen to us. Okay.
Yeah.
So also to give kind of a kind of what was coming out this year, 1998, we have starting at number 10, The Truman Show comes out this year.
Oh, that was cute.
Lethal Weapon 4.
Okay.
Shakespeare in Love.
Okay.
Dr. Dolittle.
Okay.
Mulan.
I love that movie.
A Bug's Life.
Aw.
There's Something About Mary.
Oh shit. Okay.
The Matthew Broderick led Godzilla.
Okay. He had to start it that way.
I think I missed that one.
Oh, it's not good. You're good.
Oh my gosh.
The number 2 spot, which I'm surprised that this was number 2 and not number 1, Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah, that movie was phenomenal.
Only to be beaten out by Bruce Willis. We just talked about this movie. Armageddon.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about this last night. I watched, that was the second most watched movie I ever watched when I was a kid. So
Armageddon almost made $100 million more than Saving Private Ryan.
Wow.
Yeah, that movie was so, I know a lot of people make fun of it now, but I loved it as a kid. I still love it. So
Well, it's easier to train drill guys to become astronauts than it is astronauts to be drill guys. Like the most that's like the whole thing. Like they actually say that in that movie.
I know they do. It has Bruce Willis. I love him. I like Liv Tyler, especially in that movie, but it has Steve Buscemi in it and he's so funny. So yeah, it was good.
So let's see here. I guess I got a little extra stuff before we start getting into spoiler territory and everything. But before we do that, if this is your first time listening to us, hello, how's it going? We are a horror film club, and by that we give out at the end of the episode, we give out homework for the next episode. So last week we gave out Vampires, so we watched it collectively and in anticipation for this episode. So hopefully if you watched it, you can then go into spoiler territory and not have the movie ruined. If you don't care about spoilers and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to stick around. But if you have not watched Vampires, it is available on Netflix, I believe it is right now. It's like an hour and 47 minutes. Your mileage may vary on it. I know, like, when I was looking at reviews to give you girls and stuff like that, I showed one to Steph that is the longest 1 out of 10 review I had ever seen, ever.
It just kept going and going.
This thing was 20 paragraphs easily.
At least.
Wow.
Yeah.
My hand started cramping, swiping on my phone to get to the end of it. But there's also people that fucking love this movie, and deservedly so. Like, this is definitely like the quintessential idea in my head of like late 90s B flick. Like,
Kind of, yeah.
so, but for this film, John Carpenter wanted to get away from the stereotype of gothic vampires, as he said in an interview. He said, "My vampires are savage creatures. There isn't a second of brooding loneliness in their existence. They're too busy ripping and tearing humans apart." To which I say, "You're goddamn right, John. I love it." Because that was the argument, well, not argument, but the conversation that Steph and I had about like what I want in a vampire movie and what Hollywood wants in a vampire movie.
It's true.
And like the whole like romantic, like, oh, I've been around so long and I need love, like all that kind of shit. It's like, no, these things should be losing like no sense of humanity anymore because they've been around so fucking long and they're not even human now because, they've lost everything and therefore they don't care and they're just going to murder and feed and all that stuff. So yes, thank you, John, for doing that for me. But before John Carpenter got involved in this, the original casting for it was this. I want to live in the timeline where this casting stayed on and John Carpenter made this movie.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have gotten James Woods as our lead.
Okay.
Initially, it was going to be Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, that's way worse.
If you don't know who Dolph Lundgren is, that is the Russian boxer from, I think it's Rocky 3. It's like, I will break you. He's been in a multitude of other things.
Hasn't he been in the Expendables movies?
Yeah, he's been in the Expendables.
I love him in the Expendables, but in this?
Oh, yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? No.
Our vampire of, was it Valek or something like that?
Okay.
Was reportedly going to be cast by Willem Dafoe.
That would have been fine, I think.
We have a Baldwin in this movie,
Yes.
which kind of like, it's very strange that we've got this Baldwin like that you don't really see very often in films, but there's kind of a reason. His brother Alec Baldwin was originally cast And because of certain things, he had to drop out. And he told John, "Hey, why don't you hire my brother?" That's how we get him.
Oh, that makes sense. Because I was like, we went and looked up his movie credits yesterday, and we're like, I think it's Daniel Baldwin or Danny Baldwin or whatever. And I was like, they all look so similar, so it's hard to keep them straight. But I was like, this motherfucker really hasn't done a whole lot. Like, in comparison to his brothers, especially Alec, like, he just doesn't have a lot on his sheet. Like, he hasn't done a lot. So I don't know.
Before we got Alec Baldwin, John Carpenter's first choice to play Montoya was Bruce fucking Campbell.
No, I don't know. Oh. Bruce Campbell as Montoya. I don't know.
Oh, that would have been great. It would have been so
I like Bruce
good.
Campbell, but I don't know. So I like that name though, Montoya. That's a good name. I also like what's his Crow? What's his first name in the movie?
Jack
Crow. Jack Crow. I like that name too. That's a good one. So
yeah. So when Carpenter cast James Woods as Jack Crow, he said it was because he wanted the vampire slayer to be as savage as the prey he's after. A guy who's just as menacing as the vampires. James Wood is the kind of guy you believe could and would chew off the leg of a vampire.
Yeah, that's what I liked about him in this. That's the best part of this whole movie is him, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, his dialogue is some of the best stuff in the film.
It is. It legitimately is. It's so good.
Really, Tasha?
I wasn't a fan of much of this movie.
I kind of assume so.
No, Tasha didn't like the New Mexico vampire film by John Carpenter.
Shocking,
I would have never imagined.
Never guessed it.
What has this podcast become? All right. So, you girls ready to get into spoiler territory and we can openly talk about this movie?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen it, I've already kind of given you the warning and not the warning, but kind of been talking about it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you don't care, stick around. Oh, you gotta just meh. You just gonna meh? No, you go watch it.
You have to watch it.
No, shut up. You go watch it and you come back and finish the episode. The last 5-10 minutes of the episode, we give out homework. God damn it. All right. Anyway, without any further ado, let's go out into the desert and go hunt some vampires.
If you'd like to be part of our horror film club, make sure to follow us at Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Pod of the Dead. All of our episodes can be found at podofthedeadorelse.com or wherever you stream music and podcasts. If you have movie recommendations or questions for us, email us at podofthedead666@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Or else.
Let's hear it. Let's hear that. Let's hear that 10 out of 10, Tasha. Your self-written 10 out of 10.
Why do you do this to me? All right. James Woods. Need I say anything else? Okay, this isn't the greatest movie, but it oozes cool. The vampires in this aren't prissy romantic types or gothic morons either. They're vicious bastards who would make the vampires in Blade look like wusses.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Wusses. It's a funny word.
Yeah.
The action's good, the storyline's solid, but it's nothing new. It's just good fun. In my opinion, that in Carpenter's old age, he's become too tired and cynical to make films that audiences or critics would find to be works of masterpiece. For example, his Apocalyptic 3, Thing, Prince of Darkness. I don't know why they're just going into a John Carpenter.
Because he deserves it.
Prince of Darkness, Mouth of Madness in parentheses. No, he's instead content with making sarcastic films that lampoon mainstream movies.
100%. It's the idea, it's the idea where, like he was saying, like, this is like Hollywood wants vampires to be this. Well, this is what I want vampires to be, and I don't give a shit.
I see.
I don't give a shit if you want this movie. You already paid me. That's where he's at in his life at this point.
Gotcha. Okay, Carpenter's tired. Take his films at face value.
Goddamn
and
right.
Laugh at how they mock the average person's taste for the mainstream.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. Yeah.
See, and I never thought of it to be that way, like John Carpenter's films, but like hearing that, it's like, oh, that must be why I really like his stuff, because like I've never found his movies to be like legit scary as much as they're just like fucking cool, weird, and like there's not many things like them. So like that's where it's just like, oh, I guess that's why I'm a Carpenter fanboy.
Yeah.
All right, Steph. Let's hear that heresy. That 1 out of 10.
I am curious to see what they're angry about in this one. So let me pull it up here.
I hate vampire movies. Like that's usually how these things work. Horror films are the worst.
I love this. This is just the first sentence on this just makes my day. 1 out of 10. All the dialogues in this movie seem to consist of the words fuck, bitch, die, and shit. It lacks any continuous logic and decorates all of the women in the movie as either brainless sex hunger or vampirish evilness. The only people who at least slightly turn out to be intelligent are the vampires. They're also much more sympathetic than the trigger-happy gun guy with the
trigger-happy gun guy. I wonder if that was like the actual like. All right, Montoya, your actual name is Trigger Happy Gun Guy.
Gun Guy, yeah. With the hard-to-believe, very made-up pseudo-past who could be considered one of the leading characters. In the end, when it seems the vampires might win, the movie feels a little more bearable for a few minutes. But here comes another stupid, unrealistic twist, and soon we get a few more car crashes and explosions, and the good guys win. They're all trying so desperately to be cool, in quotation marks. You feel like watching a couple of really young teenagers hallucinating about horror movies. One time, Mr. Highest Vampire flies faster than a car on full speed. Then he somehow is unable to move a few steps sideways in less than 5 minutes. He gets downed by bullets, not caring or being hurt, but then he suddenly gets knocked out by one headshot, which even the lesser vampires seem to be able to easily survive. Well, it would be a fun B movie if it wasn't for the endless machismo talk. The acting, well, it's not that bad, I gotta say. Hold on. And the acting, well, it's not that bad, I gotta say. You really believe they are all idiots.
I don't think they're idiots. I mean, come on, that's not very nice.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's not wrong. It is a B movie. It is cheesy in a lot of ways. It's not meant like, I don't take it as being like the super serious film. I think it's so over the top that it's supposed to be. Yeah. Like there's that layer of humor because it's so ridiculous.
Everything's a caricature of what you think it should be. Like your vampire hunter. Like when James Woods' character is explaining to Father Adam about what vampires are, like that's like one of my favorite like lines in it and stuff, and it's so over the top, and it's literally John Carpenter saying how much he fucking hates gothic vampires and how these vampires, you know, like they're not a bunch of fucking slur hopping around in rented formal wear seducing everybody in sight with cheesy Eurotrash accents. All right, forget what you've seen in the movies. They don't turn into bats. Crosses don't work. Garlic, you want to try garlic? You can stand there with garlic around your neck and one of these buggers will bend you fucking over and take a walk straight up your strata chocolata while he's sucking the blood out of your neck. All right, and they don't sleep in coffins lined in taffeta. You want to kill one, you drive a wooden stake right through his fucking heart. Sunlight turns them into crispy critters. That is fucking amazing. And he's just sitting in a damn van saying all this, and he's like, listen here, motherfucker. And I just love his character in this movie. He is like the like they said, the machismo and his like personality and his character is so over the top, but that's the point of it. It's so funny. Like the whole movie, this is a comfort watch for me, not because it's some great like over the top amazing movie. It's just because you watch it, you get vampires, you get some kills, you get some decent gore, and then you get like fucking the best over the top, most ridiculous fucking dialogue ever. And I just love it and honestly, this movie would not be the same without James Wood, like
expecting
his delivery.
Oh my God, it's so insane. And I can see why like Tasha or the people with the 1 star were like, this is stupid as shit.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be serious. Like,
Yeah.
It's supposed to be stupid. And the only thing about this movie, after watching it for so long, after seeing it so many times over the years, there is a lot of like, and they're not wrong in this, where they don't really like women. That's what it comes across as in a weird way.
One thing though is like basic, unless they're the vampires, which they get nothing, right? But the only women that you see in the movie are prostitutes. Like that's it. Like, so when they're saying like, oh, they're just, it's like, well, they're prostitutes. I mean, like, and that's not me like degrading people that do sex work. I'm just saying like, I mean, yeah, they're all viewed as sex objects and stuff and everything because they're literally prostitutes brought in by a cop to give to the vampire slayers for like payment to fucking thank them.
That makes sense, but the only females you're really getting are this, like, that's your type in the whole movie. And so like they didn't have anything else. And then we have our prostitute that gets turned and she's
Worst
like
actress in the film.
I didn't think she was that bad.
I can't stand her.
I know you don't like her. What did you think of her, Tasha?
I liked her better than Daniel Baldwin.
Yeah. As Montoya with Daniel Baldwin, he was my least favorite character in this, is because it's like, here, let me beat you up and slap you around just because I can.
This is the America Republicans want, okay?
Yeah, and that's
trying to like cauterize his bite wound with a fucking lighter. Like, when you talked about like trying to be quote cool, that's what I was telling Drew as we were watching it. I was like, this is the guy that's like in the friend group that's just trying so hard.
He's such a badass.
Yeah.
He reminds me of the kids from school that would take like the staplers and staple their arm and be like, I'm so cool. It was
this is what I'm doing.
You unlocked a memory.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it reminds me of. I don't like his acting's like, I think his acting's fine. I think his character is the dumb part. Like, it's just over the top. Like, he shoots he gets bit in the neck and blood's like everywhere and she's like pouring it out of her mouth, but somehow he can still walk. Like, that in itself is so funny and stupid. And then he like uses a gun, shoots and then shoves it against his neck. And I'm
it's ridiculous.
Why are we doing this twice in a movie?
That's the scene I remember as a kid being like, what a badass.
Yeah.
Because I had no frame of reference of like how anything works. So he just like puts this fucking machine gun up. I'm just like, oh yeah, fucking get it, man.
That's
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, he's just there for like entertainment value. That's what I like him for. But yeah, his misogyny in this is weird in a sense, because it's like, let me slap you around and treat you like shit. And then like, it's just weird. Like, I understand knocking her out because she was like going crazy on him, but like the rest of the stuff was just very uncalled for. And but yeah, other than that, like it was, I didn't. And then they did have a slur in this movie, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. I never am. I mean, we've watched a couple movies. Well, it happened to be another vampire movie we watched that also had a slur in it too. But yeah. But other than that, yeah, James Wood, his delivery is amazing.
You know, a lot of dick references and boner references in this film that make me laugh every single time. I don't know why, but like when Jack Crow's like talking to Valek and stuff, and he's like, "Let me just ask you one thing. After 600 years, how's that dick working? Pretty good." Just like out of fucking nowhere, like you are literally like face to face with like. In this universe, the most powerful evil thing, and you're taking like dick pot shots at it.
He is the whole time, and then like, but it's also with Padre is what he ends up calling him. But like, he the same thing with him. He's like, does killing them give you a wood? And the whole time I'm just laughing. I'm like, this is so fucking stupid, but so funny.
When I was kicking your ass, you get a little mahogany down there.
Yeah. And then at the end of the movie, and he's like, yeah, I got whatever, and he's like calling off fucking wood names, and I was like, yep. He's like, how about a little bit of this? And it's another wood name. And I was like, you guys are so fucking stupid. But it did end the movie on a light, like, ha ha ha, funny moment. And then we just kind of went off into the sunset. Not really.
Yeah, but like there was the end of the film. Like, so when you find out that Montoya's been bit and everything, and him and Jack Crow are like having a little conversation. I really like that bit. Like, that's probably some of the best like character like part is when he's like, how long has it been since you've been bit? And he's like, 2 days, you know. And he's like, and I still covered your ass for those 2 days. And he's like, all right, I'll give you 2 days, but I will hunt you down. I will find you and I will kill you and I will kill her. And it's like, that really shows like the weird bromance in this film of those two, and that it's like, you know what? Yeah, I appreciate that, but I gotta fucking do my job and I'm going to fucking kill you. And I love that about like how this movie ties itself up.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten into the rest of the film and stuff like that, but like there are those little pockets in here that like I don't really see in other vampire movies. Like I love the over the top machismo talk. Like I think it's fucking hilarious. Not that as an adult, as a kid, I was like, this is badass.
Yes.
this is what guys are like, right?
Yeah.
Like fucking Jack Crow, like riding a fucking vampire, shooting it in the face, just like die, fucker, die. All that shit. I'm like, yeah, fucking get it. But the way it ties itself up, you know, they kill the guy and everything. You find out that the friends turned, and he's like, all right, man, I'll see your ass in the sequel. Is kind of how it feels. It's like, all right, hell yeah, like I'm down for this. Yeah. So Tasha, you tend to think that movies are too bloody or too gory, but you love face smashing.
There's a line.
What was your take on the gore in this film?
It was humorous. It was outlandish.
Yes.
Is probably the best word for it. So it wasn't like, I wouldn't take it as gore. It made me laugh quite a bit, especially like when they got pulled out into the sun.
Yes.
That was just so absurd because it was like they had flares coming out of their forearms. Like, what the fuck is happening?
I love though that like once they hit the sun, like once they get full direct sunlight, it's not like I gotta run away. It's they fucking burst into flames.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. Like
it's
you don't
funny.
see that very often in like vampire films. It's usually like and they run off into the fucking shadows or whatever. No. But this one, it's like, no, we're gonna fucking light your ass up.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It is, but it's great.
And I honestly forgot how gory, quote unquote gory, well yeah, it's gory, the film was in its entirety, because I remembered when the one dude like opens the door and gets split like from his navel up through his collarbone, falls in half, and I was like, I think that's it. I don't think it really I think it's more just like gunfights and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, no, we get to watch James Wood decapitate his entire party with a fucking bag of heads and all this shit. We get to see all these other people get fucking decapitated and all this stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I fucking forgot about this. A lot of decapitations. A lot of decapitations in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
it had like the Evil Dead 2 vibes to it with its gore, if you will. Like it was just so ridiculous.
Same guy doing the effects. So, you know, like, you know, a lot of blood spray and all this. One of my favorite scenes in this movie, and it's not because it's amazing, it's how fucking outlandish it is when James Wood comes in and sees Valek and his crossbow. For some reason, the most insane crossbow you've ever seen. He sees this across the room. He's like, oh, I gotta run and get it. He's running, shooting, and like dives to go get it. It just crushes into a fucking dresser, falls over. You literally just hear him hit the ground, just go like, oh shit. It's like complete, like, this guy is supposed to be the most fearsome vampire killer in the world. It's just like, oh god damn it.
Yep. I think his character is one of those things that a lot of people can relate with, in the sense of like, he's just like your average guy that decides he wants to go kill a bunch of bloodsuckers, and he's like, fuck this. And then he's just got all, you know, and he's just done this his whole life, because his backstory is really fucking cheesy. It's so stupid.
His backstory is the backstory of every character in late 90s films.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and give the backstory.
Yeah, so somebody broke it. I can't even remember all of it. You have to tell me, because it's something about his dad got turned or something, and then he like killed his mom or whatever, and I had to kill my dad, and that was the whole story. That was literally it. Now it's revenge.
The thing happened to me when I was young, and now I'm an adult and I do this. And then after this movie, we watched the original Twister, and that's Helen Hunt's exact same thing. A fucking Twister came and killed my dad, and now I'm taking revenge against the Twisters.
Weather?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight God.
Yeah. It kind of is. I mean, that is like the very like storyline. It's like I got scarred as a child, and now this is what I'm going to focus on in my
That's
adult
literally
life.
that's the late 90s, like color by numbers. Like, all right, so what's our person's back? Well, they're fighting this monster. So what's the backstory? They dealt with that monster when they were a kid. Okay, cool. Now let's go on. You don't need anything else.
Yeah, legitimately. And I was like, that, I mean, I get like that could maybe drive you to do that, but at the same time, we didn't even need a backstory. He could just, it was like, he could just be a vampire hunter. Like, I don't know a lot of vampire hunter movies or stuff like that they have to go into that like much depth of storyline. We just kill vampires because they're bad guys. That's really that easy.
But the movie's trying to give you character development, and that's what you girls want.
Not in this movie. This movie doesn't have any character development,
yes,
realistically.
And we actually get a really cool, like, okay, so like looking at just vampire films in general, right?
Okay.
We also get like a really cool origin of how Valek becomes a vampire. That it's an exorcism gone wrong,
true.
but like a reverse exorcism.
That's true.
And I love
ridiculous.
which I think is really cool. Like really cool in the sense of like when they're talking about like one of the reviews was saying like it's just like your basic story, and it's I don't know of another one that's like, no, the church fucked up and created this thing. And I'm like, that's fucking dope. I really like that. Like, instead of it just being like, cursed for millennia, all this stuff or whatever. It's like, no, this is what fucking happened. So we're led to believe that Valek is like the first vampire, which is cool. Yeah. Like, I like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. The only thing I thought was weird is like, and I could just be wrong because I don't remember like all the storyline of it exactly, but they're like, we have to go in and we have to kill the masters or the master or whatever. And they're like killing all these vampires. And did they say something at some point? Because it is like this in some vampire stuff where it was like, if we kill him, then it kills all the other ones.
I don't think they ever say that, but they kind of allude to like they at least think that might, help. And it doesn't.
Because it doesn't.
And I wasn't. That's another thing that I like. Is like we gotta cut off the serpent's head, right? And then the rest will change back. And it's like, no, that doesn't fucking happen. They're all still vampires. Like, and I really like that.
I like that too. I just wasn't sure if that was something they were like convinced that it was, or they were just trying to try this out to see if it was like, hey, maybe if this happens, we can stop having all these people turn.
Yeah.
Like that we get rid of literally vampires in general. So. But yeah,
and then you get your twist where the cardinal is giving Valek the cross and all this stuff because he's basically lost faith in God. So I want immortality and all this stuff. And I like how all that plays out in a sense where it seems very realistic, not in the way the film is shot, but like in the drive of the characters. It's like this cardinal that has become jaded and stuff like that on his faith, so finds out that he can get immortality in this way, is going to help this vampire fulfill his quest or whatever. And then Father Adam shows up, and I think it's really smart. He's just like, I can't fucking kill these vampires, but I can fucking put a stop to this ritual, and just straight up, no questions asked, just kills the cardinal. Fucking shotgun blast, and then like holds the gun to his head and everything. And the only thing that saves Adam from blowing off his head in a way is because Valek takes a fucking a flaming stick and puts it up to James Wood's dick. It's like gonna light his ass on fire.
Another penis reference.
It should just be called like John Carpenter's dicks.
Yes.
Which I mean, so. I would give it a whole extra point for that.
I like this only because we were talking about this last night about vampire movies. You don't get a lot of vampire movies where the vampires are not romanticized. Like sometimes you'll get occasionally, especially now, but back then that didn't really happen. Like even in Blade, like yes, he's a vampire hunter, right? But you do he's the good guy. So like and then he's a hybrid or whatever. And then he is going against the bad guys. But like apart from that, you don't get, and he's still like a sex symbol in that movie. Like you don't get that very often. So I liked that the differentiation in this. It was just like they're just bad people or turned and they're demonic now or whatever, and now we're just going to end them. And that's different. I mean, I love vampires in all facets. I prefer the romanticized one, but I can appreciate this one.
It's really interesting considering this and Blade came out in the same year because their plots are almost the exact same plot too. Because they're both about a vampire hunter. They both have similar plots of vampires trying to complete an arcane ritual that'll allow them to move about in daylight. They also feature a female character slowly turning into a vampire throughout.
Wow,
that's true.
And there's actually a smaller actor named Tim Guinea that is in both of them.
Wow. Okay.
So it makes you wonder, like, when like scripts and stuff do the rounds and everything. Obviously, Blade is a comic book character that's been around for a long time and everything, but it makes you wonder, like, if there's no way to prove this, but like how similar the storylines are. If, like, considering the vampire script and everything had been like floating around since the early 90s, if that ever came across someone's desk and they're like, oh, that's a cool idea, and we've got this Blade character that we're going to be doing shit with, and then just kind of like, you got my peanut butter and your chocolate, kind of like smashed it together, and that's how, I don't know, like, and we'll be covering Blade eventually one day. It's not considering we covered this is an action horror film. This is action first, horror second. And that had always been my complaint with Blade, because Steph had always been like, we need to cover Blade. We need to cover Blade. We need to cover Blade.
I love that movie.
I like Blade. Yeah.
So we covered this, and I was like, well, because this was a Steph suggestion as well. Yeah. We covered this, and I was just like, well, now I have no excuse to not cover Blade, because it's like we literally covered the same exact style of movie, and I was like, okay, whatever. Because I remember this movie, like, it's been a bit. Well, we watched it like in the last year or something, but like passively. I wasn't paying attention. But the last time I actually sat and watched this movie, for some reason, I thought it was actually quote unquote scarier, like darker and stuff like that. And then we rewatch it, and I'm like, no, this movie is not dark at all.
No, it's kind of campy in a weird way.
It's not kind of. It is. This is a camping site. Everyone's camping.
Yeah, it's different, that's for sure. But yeah, when talking about like the movies, I didn't even realize they came out the same year and that they had similar plots to that degree. Yeah, I from just like recently noticing like trends, I think they probably go, hey, this movie studio picked up this is the plot, this is the storyline, it's vampires, it's this, and they're like, okay, so we're gonna do this too and see how this goes, because they're just piggybacking off of that in terms of like throwing movies out that way. So
that definitely does happen from time to time, but when you've got movies coming out the same year, that's way too close to actually piggyback that quickly. Now it'd be different if it was like a year off or something, because then it'd be like, oh, this is getting done, then let's piggyback. But like, considering that these came out in the same year, that means there was no release dates or anything. Like, they were just getting made. And sometimes when films get made, the production company's like, you know what, it's not going to make its money back, let's shelve it. So there's no telling. But yeah, like, I don't think that Blade was made because of vampires.
Well, definitely
I don't think
not.
Vampires was made because of Blade. But like, they both of those film franchises ended up becoming trilogies. Like, there are two sequels to Vampires, of which I've never seen. I know one of them.
Either. One has Bon Jovi.
One's got Bon Jovi in it. So
they just keep getting better.
Oh, yes. we might have to cover that one. That might be the film that I pick in December, just as a Christmas gift to you girls. And then the Blade trilogy, which is, it is what it is. It's got Ryan Reynolds in the third one, which is arguably the worst of the trilogy, but
I just liked them all. They were all good.
Yeah, I mean, they're none of these films, Vampires, Blade, none of them are meant to be like works of art. They are popcorn films. They are just over the top action horror films.
Yeah, but I wonder. So, Interview with the Vampire came out a couple years before this. So I wonder if that was.
I want to say that came out like 92.
Did it? Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
It was,
because I'm wondering if that was what created the influx of like vampires. Films? Yeah.
Well, you had a lot of vampire films in the 80s. Like The Lost Boys is like the one that fucking blew everything up, and from there you've got like Fright Night and all this stuff. Fright Night might even. I don't have it in front of me. That might predate Lost Boys or in that same.
Interview with the Vampire came out in 94.
94. Okay.
You said Fright Night. The original?
Yeah, that was like 88.
It's from 85.
Okay. And then The Lost Boys
came out.
It came out in 87.
Okay, so Fright Night, because Fright Night feels older, in just the way like it's done and everything. But yeah, The Lost Boys. Oh,
I love that movie.
Lost Boys is probably the.
I don't even remember watching it, so I know I've seen it, but it's been maybe one. I think I've seen it once.
Are you ready for a 10-minute saxophone solo? Big muscle-bound saxophone man on the beach. Oh, baby.
Oh my gosh.
We'll cover that.
We should, because I want to see it.
I think it's on the list for this year, and if not, I can always push it up. I have that power. So you girls want to get into your reviews of it, or do you have anything else you'd like to talk about? That super in-depth plot, character building.
So good. Yeah. Good.
Well, here's something that I would like before we get into all that is what is it? If anybody could fill me in on this, what is it about like New Mexico, Southwest, and vampires that works so well? Or like it seems like a lot of vampire films get put there, you know, like From Dusk Till Dawn, all that stuff, like sand and vampires seem to be like this like weird marriage that happened in the 90s. And I like it, even though I think that the Southwest would be the last place I'd want to go as a vampire, because if it's not getting a lot of rain, that means you're not getting a lot of clouds. That means, you know, like it's gonna be sunny as fuck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of caves.
I guess. Maybe that's
they're just living in caves.
Maybe they can bury themselves in the sand easier.
And I did like that, the whole thing where there's no coffins and they literally just bury themselves in the dirt. I like that, because it's like there's no such thing as like, oh, we got to get them in their lair kind of thing. There is nests, and I like that. Like
maybe they're like reptiles now that they're dead and they need warmth, and so they're gonna live in places that are warm. I have no fucking clue. I'm just pulling something out of my ass, maybe. So.
All right. So
they're lizards, yes.
Yeah. Goddamn lizard vampires. All right. I'll give my review first.
Okay. All right.
So this movie gets a lot of nostalgia points for me. I grew up loving this movie. Like it's weird. Like it's one of those movies that I think that everybody watched, and it doesn't seem like it.
No.
And I'm just like, what? You haven't seen John Carpenter's Vampires acting like it's Citizen Kane or some shit like that? I'm just like, are you serious? You haven't seen that? I'm sorry to anybody that watched it and had Tasha's response to it. Well, not like sorry. I mean, I didn't force you at gunpoint, or maybe I did. But yeah, I really like John Carpenter's stuff. I like his spin on stuff. Like I want them to make a new version of this, or like a television series of this, that it's like a vampire hunter crew that's just a bunch of fucking dudes hunting vampires, and they're fucking like, I think Steph, when I was telling you about it and stuff, you're like basically The Walking Dead but vampires. I was like, yeah, that'd be fucking dope. Like I would watch the fuck out of that. My reason for not liking vampire movies and stuff is because they're basically Underworld or Twilight or Interview with a Vampire, which I like Interview with a Vampire, but I don't want everything to be that. This to me is a breath of fresh air, where it's just like, literally, you think you know vampires, these are just rabid dogs. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like the other vampire movie that comes to mind that reminds me of this, with just vampires being savage, is 30 Days a Night, which is another vampire movie that I really like. I
Am Legend.
I don't like that because I don't like Will Smith.
I know, but that movie is exactly that way too.
But they're super overly CGI'd, and I can't get over that. Like, they look bad.
I like that movie.
Anyway, James Woods, I only know him from 3 movies, realistically. This, Hercules, and then David Cronenberg's Videodrome, which was in the 80s, which is like a surrealist nightmare body horror kind of horror film that we'll cover one day. But it's not James Woods like he is in this film. It's, you know, it's not him fucking making dick jokes and fucking shooting vampires riding out into the sun. All that being said, this has a late night drive-in B movie quality to it that I am here for. And because of all that, I think I've really been fighting myself on this one.
Are we going to guess what you're going to rate it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to guess you're going to give it a 7.5.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tasha?
A 6.75.
Okay. I'm giving it a 6.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving it a 6. Reason No, I'm giving it a 6.5. Never mind. I'm giving it a 6.5. I was fighting myself, but it's just like, no, I love this. I could watch this anytime. 6.5. I think this is the first time I've ever like said my score and then I'm like, no, we're gonna bump it up.
Yeah.
Because there's so many quotable lines in this. Is it a great movie? No. The nostalgia though, like, because that's the thing. Like, I kind of forgot about my nostalgia for it, and like, yeah, this movie is fun. That's my thing. This movie is just
great.
Fun. So
yeah, okay.
And it's got Greg Nicotero doing the special effects, which, I mean, they fucking look great. Every time someone's getting their fucking head chopped off or split in half and everything like that, super good. I'm all about that. So, all right,
you're ridiculous. All right, Tasha, what do you got?
All right. Well, I don't have nostalgia points
10 out of
for
10.
this movie.
10 out of 10. This and Midsummer. Those are the two films.
You were way off. It was just all too much. I like vampire movies, but I like The Interview with the Vampire. Like, that's I know. So when you were like, I remember Steph saying last week, like, I don't know, Tosh, how you're going to feel about this. And I was like, I like The Lost Boys and Interview with the Vampire. And it was like maybe not even 5 minutes into the movie. I was like, okay, yeah, now I know why that didn't matter.
Yeah.
The acting was too much. The props looked so proppy.
Oh.
Like, the town looked like a soundstage. There was just a lot to it that I didn't care for.
Oh,
it was hard to watch.
She's giving it a 10, guys.
I couldn't, and like, I understand like they were playing the roles, but I couldn't stand the acting of either of the two guys, especially Montoya. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Anytime he was on camera, it just drove me insane.
Like, whoo, he's so hot. It's just driving me insane.
The whole side story of him like falling in love with the vampire,
yeah, that's the worst
woman
part
that
of the
was
movie.
turning, that was stupid. There was just, yeah, it's not my jam. I don't plan on watching it again.
Okay.
I'm giving it solid.
Wait.
Oh, okay.
We got to guess what you're
I
rating
think she's
it.
giving it a
that's
4.
right.
I'm guessing the same thing.
It's a 3.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, it's no bueno.
Still higher than Buffy.
it's a stake to my heart. Yeah, this and Buffy are the only 2 vampire films we've covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tasha hasn't liked either one of them.
I don't know.
No.
Like, there's
I'm
something
starting to realize I don't like vampire movies.
Apparently
Well, there's
not.
something really strange about this. It's like we've only covered this and Buffy as our vampire movies, which most vampire film fans would just be like, why the fuck haven't you covered X, Y, and Z? And then we covered this John Carpenter film before we ever covered like Halloween or anything like that. But why are you covering this? I'm like, because fuck you, that's why.
Okay. So, my turn, I guess. This isn't a great film. I'm never going to say it's a great film. It's just a movie you can watch and be entertained and just laugh and it's just fucking over the top ridiculous. The gore for me, if you'd never watched it, you'd be like, yeah, it's a little gory. To me, like I've said a million times before on this podcast, it doesn't register to me, but it's entertaining. And other than Montoya's character, he is very cringy. And I don't like him. I think the woman acts fine in the movie. I actually think because most of her acting is actually without dialogue, she does a good job. Considering she has to pretend that she's seeing visions from another fucking vampire and all the stuff that she has to do. So I liked that part of her. Cause Nick was over here, but like, I hate the way she acts, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention to her to see my perspective of it. I thought she did really good in comparison to what she had offered, and especially compared to our fucking Montoya character, which is just acting should be at like a 6 and he's at like a 10, and
it's so good.
It's not
just cauterize the neck.
Ridiculous. I can't be okay with that.
I don't care for him as a character in it. I did think that the younger whatever he
Father Adam.
That's it. Yeah, him. I liked him. He was like this like cute little guy, like, oh, I just new into all of this. And now he's a bloodthirsty killer for vampires at the end of the movie, which is always fun. And then our vampire was actually pretty decent. Like, I thought he represented vampires pretty well in comparison to like the stereotype. So I liked that. And his acting was okay. I don't think it was like the best, but I think it was decent. And then obviously this movie would never be the same if it wasn't for James Woods, because he was fucking amazing in this movie.
good.
I love him in this. His delivery is amazing. Here's the weird thing about it, and I was telling Nick about this last night, is that he looked like that hairstyle was like a very like quintessential 90s hairstyle. My dad had it. My stepdad had it. And then he kind of looks like my stepdad. So it was like weird in that essence of watching it. But I don't know. There was just something about his character that I really like about this movie. So what do you guys think I'm going to rate it?
I think you're going to give it a 9.
Oh my God.
I think you're going to give it a 6.
No,
Okay.
I honestly think you'll
7.
give it like a
7.
7. I think you're going to go like 7.
Okay. I wrote it down already. I put it as the same as you, Nick. I gave it a 6.5. It's not the best movie ever. It is entertaining and it does have nostalgia for me because I've seen it a lot, but not because it's like the most fantastic movie. This isn't Avatar, so
bad.
All right. Well, that's the end of this podcast. We're not talking about Jane. God damn it.
I know. I can't help it. I have to do it every time. So, yeah, I think, if you like vampire movies, this is something you should probably at least try.
I think we're getting a passing score. What do we got,
are.
Tasha?
Just by the
52.
Just by the hair. Yeah.
Very close. 53.
Yes.
Okay.
You will more than likely like this movie.
No.
No.
If you like vampire movies and campy movies, you will
That's
like
the
this
thing.
movie.
That's it. If you want to smoke a bowl or hang out with some friends and just like laugh at a horror, like realistically, like if you like Evil Dead and you like Fright Night and you like you like your shit like covered in cheese, you'll fucking like this. Like honestly. I think that's the thing with Tasha's score is you're not a big fan of cheese and camp, like Reanimator and stuff like that.
I don't like campy movies.
Yeah. And for me, like I do. So like that's the thing.
I do too.
Like is this the best one? No, but if you like campy stuff, like I would be surprised that like this one was like the one that's like, no, that one's garbage. It's like, hold on. You watched Jason Takes Manhattan. Oh wait, no, that was me. I just watched that.
Yeah, we watched that this week.
Because I was like, I just want something schlocky, stupid, that's just going to be fucking ridiculous, and that's what I threw on. But so I honestly think more people will be like, oh, it's all right, than people going like, that was fucking horrible.
Yeah, I would say that's mid.
If you like camp, that's the biggest thing.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say more so than it being a vampire movie. You have to like campy movies. That takes precedence.
Yes, absolutely. But like, I mean, if you go back to like what was coming out in 1998 and stuff, this definitely stood on its own. Like with urban legends and fucking I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And then you got James Woods over here fucking writing vampires. I mean, come on.
After watching this, we threw on Urban Legend and I watched that last night. Yeah.
Ooh, a 98 double feature.
Yeah, literally.
Hell yeah. All right. So before we give out homework, do you girls have anything that you want to champion?
Yeah, I think we all do, probably. So, Tasha, you can go first.
Oh, Wimbledon's on. That's
God damn it.
It's been taking up a lot of my time.
You're gonna shit on vampires and you're gonna talk about tennis on this podcast.
Yeah, that's happening right now. I haven't watched any like stellar movies, or I'm still in the middle of The House of the Dragon. I really haven't started. Oh, no. Hold on, I have one more thing. There's a new series on HBO. I think it's called One South. It's a 2-part like docu-series, and it takes place in a psychiatric facility for college students. So it's following a few of the clients that are in an inpatient ward. Ooh. And it's I think they're each an hour and a half.
I think that sounds like a future summer vacation for me.
But yeah, it's really good. Like I understand a lot of the language that like the clinicians are talking about, and then it's kind of relatable from like a mental health standpoint. It's really, really good.
Okay.
Well,
what is that on again?
I want to say HBO. I'll circle back just to double check.
I just want to make sure I heard right. Did you say clinicians?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a new word to me. I'm learning something every day. Is that a person that works at a clinic?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I did not know.
Like a practicing like psychologist could be considered a clinician.
Okay. I had a clinician that this was going to happen. That's premonition, Nick. They're not the same thing.
Okay. Is that all you got, Tasha?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Do you want to go or do you want me to go, honey?
You go.
Okay. I have quite a few things, but I'm only going to talk on... It's hard. I'm going to leave one of them for Nick because I know what he's going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about 3 different things, and I'm going to try to not make them super long.
How many of them have tentacles?
None, but one of them has monsters.
Okay.
Woo. So, but they're all digital, we watch them on TV. So anyway, okay. Where do I want to start here? So we went and watched the new Quiet Place. One day, that's what it's called. Day one day. Whatever the fuck.
You are
it's
having
called.
the hardest time figuring this out. It's the easiest title.
I don't know why. I can never get it right.
What is it called? It's literally the first day. It's called Day One.
Yeah, I know. I'm terrible at this. Anyway, that movie we went and saw last Thursday with Wes, and I really liked the movie. If you liked A Quiet Place, we've covered it. You can go back and listen to our episode on that. I liked it better than all the other ones. So I thought it was really good. It made me cry. It was a really good plot. There's a cat in the movie that you follow and as well, and that's the best character in the movie. Like, you're literally cheering for this cat through this whole fucking movie. It is so good. And it was just really well made. And it's not, Nick joked like that A Quiet Place is supposed to be quiet, not silent. And this movie does a really good job where it's just quiet. It's not silent. And they definitely did better, I think, and just overall all production of this movie compared to the previous one. So that one would be one of my suggestions. I watched the new Godzilla and Kong New Empire on, I think it's on Max or Netflix or Prime or something. One of those, Max. Okay. I watched that last night. Literally yesterday was like vampires. Then we watched Twister. And then I was like, I'm going to throw on this. Like, it was a movie heavy like weekend, or actually week kind of. Yeah. And I watched it last night. I liked Kong and Godzilla versus Kong. So I was like, I'm excited to see this. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I fucking loved this movie. Now you have to be into like big giant monsters. And what are you shaking your head for, honey?
You like this, Tasha?
I did.
She did.
Ryan and I saw it in theaters. I was surprised with how good it was.
Yeah, she talked about it on here once, and she's like, yeah, if you like monster movies, you would like this. And it was so good.
I have a hard time seeing you watch vampires and shitting on it, but then watching this and being like, no, it's good. Like,
it was
the same.
So good.
They're both garbage films.
No, they are not.
Maybe it's because the monsters are bigger in Godzilla.
Well, it's just like junk food. Like, they're just junk food movies. So.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I liked it. It had really good plot. And I really liked the storyline, and obviously got big monsters, and I love Kong, so that was really good. I'm more of a Kong fan than a Godzilla fan, so that was great. And I know you're
a Godzilla household here.
I know you are, but I didn't know I was a Kong fan until I watched him versus Kong, and then I've just become a bigger fan of him. So I really liked the movie. I was surprisingly really good, especially since we watched that Godzilla 1 or whatever a couple weeks ago. -1. See, I can't get any of these names right.
Nope.
And I didn't love that movie. It was okay. This one was, I really liked this movie. And then, the other thing is a TV show. I'm going to try to keep this short too. It is on Prime. It's called Lady Jane. I binge watched
I just heard of this.
The entire series on Prime. It's like 8 episodes or something like that. It is, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it. It's a period piece, and oh my God, it's so good and it's so funny. The narrator is like the storyline's very serious. The narrator's hilarious, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not because some of those things are a little too cheesy for me. I fucking loved this. I could not stop watching it. I was up all night long watching the show from beginning to end. It was just so entertaining, and it has a lot of social commentary that you kind of pick up from like real life for us in comparison to what they're talking about in the show, because it is kind of a mildly supernatural show, while also still being like back in the day stuff. So it was really interesting. I really, really liked it. And if I would just suggest anybody that likes period pieces to at least try the first episode and then see if you like it, because it is different. But I will probably rewatch it at some point because I really did like it that much. So
nice.
All right, honey. I know what you're going to say. What else? Tell us all about it.
Well, I've got 3 things.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the first one I think is the one that you're alluding to. We all collectively went and watched Maxine.
We did.
If you've listened to this podcast to this point, we covered X, we covered Pearl. We'll cover Maxine probably next year because I like to give people time to check it out in theaters and hopefully it'll hit streaming services. My initial take on it is it's the best of the trilogy. It is my favorite of the X trilogy. Not going to go much more into that, but it was fucking dope. And if it's still in theaters when you hear this, definitely check it out. I think you'll have a good time with it. Second one, so that's my horror movie to throw out there. Second one, the band Wormed, WORMED.
Wormed. Okay.
Yep, they put out their new album, Omegon, OMEGON. Not to be confused, like they're not worm in the sense of like the creature or that bug or in whatever you want to call it. I don't know what a fucking worm is.
Not a bug.
I know. That's why I was like, I don't fucking know what they're exactly called.
It's an invertebrate.
Okay. So anyway, wormed as in like wormhole and stuff. This is like a sci-fi technical death metal band, and their new album just came out July 5th. And it fucking rips. It is super fucking badass, super technical. So if you like, your guitar parts like stuff like that, and you like weird time signatures and throwing shit all over the place, check it out. It's fucking really good. It's gonna be a contender for me for album of the year.
Oh wow!
Definitely. Yeah, it's super dope.
Okay.
And I'm usually not a fan of like overly technical like death metal, but this one works for me. And then my last one is Sydney and Wesley had been getting me back a little bit into anime, and upon that I know that Sydney had been telling me for a long time to check out Chainsaw Man. So Chainsaw Man, if you're not familiar with anime, I'll explain. If you are familiar with anime, you've probably watched this. This is a wildly popular anime. It falls victim to some of the anime tropes of like adult anime and adult using quotation marks, where it is kind of pervy here and there. Like this isn't Naruto.
And like a weird, it's kind of weird pervy.
But like you kind of take it for what it is, right? But the idea of Chainsaw Man is actually pretty cool. Because it's basically about these devil hunters that are hunting different devils that their power and embodiment are based on human fears. So the devil of like the big bad in it is the gun devil, because so many people are afraid of gun violence and stuff like that. And Chainsaw Man is a human who has the chainsaw devil, which not a lot of people are afraid of chainsaws. So the chainsaw devil is this little orange dog with a little chainsaw coming off of his head. He ends up becoming one with him and everything, and it's a super cute. I think his name's like Puchito or something like that. He's super adorable and all this stuff. But when our protagonist gets it in him and stuff, it is just gore-soaked violence. Like his head is a massive chainsaw. He's got chainsaws for arms, and he's just fighting these other fucking devils. That it's so fucking rad. Like it's literally just, if you like vampires and you just want more violence, check out Chainsaw Man. It was dope. I'm not like the biggest anime fan, but I go through my spurts. And this one I got through it like in a week. So it was dope. There were plenty of times though, like I was watching it with Sydney and everything, and like something would happen, and I'd like look at her, I'm like, what the fuck are you making me watch? She's like, you just got to get past the pervy stuff, Dad. Like, what the fuck?
It is weird.
Yeah, but I really liked it. I'm looking forward to a second season eventually, because it leaves itself open to that. But yeah, so there you go. Maxine's dope. Wormed, dope. Chainsaw Man, dope. There you go.
Yes. Okay.
All right, time for homework. If you stuck around this long and you need a new movie to watch, we're going back to the 80s.
Oh, no.
This is going to be a first watch for all of us.
Oh, God.
This has been a movie that I have been told to watch for a long time, and just, I don't know why I haven't. we're going to watch the 1988 horror remake, The Blob. We're going to watch The Blob. So that is what we are getting on board for on the horror train for this week.
It is on Prime. It's rentable. Prime, YouTube, Google Play, Apple TV, Fandango.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a deal on it on Blu-ray on Amazon, so I bought it, and that's why I got pushed forward, because I was like, this is one that I've been told to watch all the time. I'm going to just buy it. I'm probably going to like it, because you know what? The Blob's gloopy, and Nick is all about the gloop.
Yeah.
I have to rent it.
Yeah.
Spend money to watch a movie.
You're going to love it. You'll love this.
Okay.
You'll fucking love it.
Okay. All right.
I've never been told to watch The Blob, so we shall see. This will be interesting. It's an 80s movie, so at least it's not 70s. That's good.
Yeah, I try to keep us out of the 70s because I know you girls
bringing
aren't about it.
Yeah, literally.
I think the only 70s movie, I think the only 70s film that we'll probably cover eventually is the original Halloween. I think that's the last 70s film, and that'll happen one day. Who fucking knows?
I've seen that one. Okay.
For Pod of the Dead, I am Nicholas.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Natasha.
Come back and listen to us, or else.